Thank you, Simon, Angus, and Joshua, for leading our opening prayer. I'll now like to invite the 2019 College Captain, Caleb Oswald, to come forward and present his opening address for the 2019 academic year. Can you please make him welcome?
Good morning and Wominjeka to all in our Marcellin family. I especially wish a warm welcome to our Year 7s who have just completed their first week of Marcellin life, and Year 12s who have just embarked on their final year as secondary school students. What an opportunity we have today to celebrate the class of 2018's prestigious Dux recipients, to commend them on their persistence, motivation and determination which they demonstrated throughout their studies, which has seen them finish as the top achievers in their cohort. Congratulations to you all. Your presence today is greatly appreciated and you should be proud of all the hard work and sacrifice that went into getting here. We all are. I hope that you not only have thoroughly and safely enjoyed that well-earned break, but that for your future studies, you continue to push forward with virtute ad altissima in your hearts. On top of the personal growth which these young men have fostered through their studies, they've also helped our community to grow by setting the standard. The standard of pushing yourself and your mates to achieve the best that they can, and to do so in a balanced way, with everything that fills the busy timetables we all have. While not knowing for sure, I would presume that there are not many Dux recipients here today who, when studying in their final summer break, or staying behind in class to do that little bit extra, or especially when they received a disappointing SAC mark, were 100% confident that their journey would lead them here. At many stages throughout their studies, each young man, not only the Dux recipients, would have experienced disappointment, would have hit the wall, would have felt vulnerable. Brené Brown, a famous American psychologist and author, discusses the notion of vulnerability in depth across much of her work, studying leadership and people. One priceless lesson that I've learnt from her work is that to be vulnerable is to be courageous. I see vulnerability in our context as members of a Marist secondary school as being unafraid to make mistakes, ask questions in class, standing by your values and speaking up against injustice. Being able to rumble with your vulnerability, as Brown says, is the difference between unlocking your full potential and making excuses as to why you can't or why it hasn't happened yet. In line with the concept of embracing your vulnerability, this year, as a Marist collective, we are called to holiness. Often, I have found that the annual themes which we are presented are lost in translation, and many of us are unable to see just how tangible it is to live out what they call us to be. Throughout the holidays, while away with friends and family in particular, I sat and brainstormed what being called to holiness really embodies. Two overlapping characteristics stood out. Wholeheartedness, firstly, and secondly, the Marist characteristic of simplicity. And while these might not mean a lot to you right now, they will. And I know some of you might be sitting here today a little disengaged or distracted, but I want you to listen now. In the busy world we live in, distractions often flood us and prevent us on focusing from what really matters. They prevent us from seeing past superficialities in people, from engaging with our work, activities, and fostering relationships with purpose and integrity. In these times, it is important that we are able to strip back life to the basics to see through those distractions, to become aware of what is really important, make it simpler. The reason I speak of wholeheartedness is because it is the key state of being for us to live fulfilled lives that make a difference. In a world where people are afraid of walking alone in the street, of ice caps melting, of persecution for being who you are, many of us are stuck afraid of being accountable, of taking a leap of faith into our infinite possibility. Being wholehearted means that you will have the courage to choose the right, to despise the petty, to shun all selfishness. We preach this at every gathering, so practice it by standing up for what you believe in. Have the courage to call out your mates or anyone for not being the best version of themselves. I've had many conversations recently around respect, not only towards women, but towards everyone. However, today I wish to focus on how we as a collective respect women. For the majority of us, we're able to act towards girls as we would our mothers or sisters, but for some astounding reason, we don't always. As I say this, I wish to emphasise that this is not an attack on men, because that would be ridiculous. The reason I say this is because as a community, we all have a responsibility to ensure everyone's safety. I hear all the time that not all men rape, not all men abuse, and that is 100% right. But the issue is, while women have been fighting the fight against those who do for an eternity, as males, a lot of us still struggle to find the courage to call it out. For us, the situations we face every day do not equate to the horrific stories that we hear in the media. For us, it is objectifying and reducing women to sexual items. It is making the choice to disrespect a teacher based on their gender when they are here to support you. It looks like degrading women by using sexist jokes or making sexist remarks. This is where we can be the change. Everyone here supports equality for men and women, and if you don't, I'm happy to chat. But wanting the change is not enough. Be courageous, wholehearted, and vulnerable. Call it out, because every woman, every person is worthy of respect, and they deserve it. Former Australian of the Year, Lieutenant General David Morrison stated, "The standard you walk past is the standard you accept." That goes for all of us. So please, I invite you into the profound, courageous place of vulnerability. We are only here on earth for a short time, and at Marcellin for just a fraction of that. Make each moment matter. Stand up for personal excellence. Stand up for justice, and stand up for maroon, gold, and blue. Before I conclude today, I kindly ask for a moment of silence for my Auntie Cheryl, who passed away yesterday. May God guide her home and she rest in peace. Thank you.